Yo, what's going on, man? Today is January the 16th, 2024. It's your boy Chris, and this is the ChrisBeCappinn NBA show. I'm live on Twitter, also live on YouTube as well, man. Y'all know the vibes. Do me a favor as you join, hit the like button for me if you can. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, and definitely turn the notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube as well, so you guys do know when I go live, because sometimes the times do kind of, mix up just a tad bit. So we're going to get right into it for today, man. I appreciate everybody for tapping in as always. I see people in the comment section already. What's up, Justin, Kenneth, Estat, my guys, Young Harlow, Call Me Aries, new guy, Amini, four, a whole bunch of fours, and Kenneth as well. Let's get to it for today, man. We got it's only a 3-game slate, so the show will be a little slow, be a little bit faster. But I had a chance to kind of deep dive into these games last night. Also got a chance to kind of talk it out with a couple of my guys throughout the day as well. Haven't made a bet yet, but I do know what I'm going to bet for today. So let's get straight to it for today. First game we have is the I'm sorry, real quick recap. So this is not the right recap. So yesterday I gave out 3 plays. I talked about doing the show early because I really like Philly over Philly, that first game over. It was Philly and in Houston to go over the 226 and a half, 227 and a half, whatever number you got. They went over the total. So that was the 1-0. Then I ended up taking Chicago yesterday. Ended up taking Chicago plus 4.5. They wet the bed. Never, and this is why I don't bet Chicago. Thought that they were in a nice spot to fade Cleveland coming back home. And I talked about it on the show yesterday as well. Ended up taking Philly plus 4.5. That was a loser. Then I ended up taking a 2-leg money line parlay that I gave out to the members last night as well, which was the Boston Celtics against the Toronto Raptors, and then we also added the Utah Jazz, and that was an easy winner, minus 114 odds. Both of those teams won by margin. Boston Celtics, they end up, both teams actually end up covering the spread too. So 2-1 day yesterday, looking to build on it, man. We've been I wouldn't say too hot, but we getting there. It's definitely about that time to get there. So jumping right into it for today, man. We got the Phoenix Suns, we got the Denver Nuggets, who will be in Philadelphia today, taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. So I'm just get straight to it. I like Philly in this spot. I think it's a Philadelphia spot. I think the biggest thing that kind of jumped out to me when I saw these two teams listed to play against each other today was I thought back to last season when Denver was on the road and they were playing against competitive teams, because Denver, of course, was really good last year, even before winning the championship. I thought about these non-conference games, right? So when you get like the really good teams, the Boston Celtics, the Clippers, the Denver Nuggets, the Milwaukee Bucks, typically when they go on the road, they don't, and you're playing against competition, the home team typically steps up in that spot. And I think this is another game where that kind of happens. I look at Philly. I know they're on the second leg of a back-to-back, but they beat Houston pretty handily yesterday. None of the starters played more than 30 minutes. And it was a day game. So it's not like they had to play, late last night. It's not a back-to-back with travel, right? They got to go home. Probably was home pretty early. Denver, for people who don't know by now, Denver actually got caught up at the airport. Beat writers was all over it. If you go check the beat writers list, they got caught up at the airport. I think it ended up taking 8 hours. A 3-hour flight ended up taking 8 hours, which is why everybody was listed as probable. Then they got upgraded to everybody was listed as questionable. Then they got upgraded to probable. So it looked like everybody is going to be in for this game. The Philadelphia 76ers will still be without they still dare Joel Embiid did go through shoot around, but for Denver, they don't really have anybody outside of Strother. I think it's just Strother that's on the injury report for that potentially couldn't play in this game. Strother's the only person for Philly. They'll be without Mo Bamba, D'Anthony Milton, who I really, really would like to be in this game, and Robert Covington, who is also going to continue missing games as well. But for me, I think one of the biggest things I kind of look at is Denver's lack of depth. I talked about this the other day as well. I think it was on the Friday show. Denver's second unit, I think it gets exposed in this game tonight. You go through and just look at. They played against Indiana on Sunday, and they really, really struggled. And they were at home in that game, playing an Indiana team that was coming into town. And you see, nobody on that second unit really go bonkers. Reggie Jackson had 9 points. Christian Braun had 2 points. But when you're relying on guys like DeAndre Jordan and Peyton Watson and Justin Holiday, like and Najee, I don't think that's something that I want to put my money on. It's those guys on the road specifically. And you look at the splits with Denver. I looked into this earlier as well. Denver offense is pretty elite. They average 120 points at home specifically. On the road, they're only averaging about 110. So I think, looking at Philly, this team has been really, really good. 13-4 straight up and against the spread as home favorites with Joel Embiid. That's 76.5%. And with the spread being, 1.5, you literally just got to pick the winner. So I couldn't talk anybody off taking the money line. Also looking at Philly, like I said, no travel, third straight home game. A couple other things I looked at. I looked at the Sixers with Joel Embiid as a home favorite, and they're playing against competition. But they're playing against competition in non-conference games, right? So Embiid in 76ers, since the start of last season, they're 7-0 straight up and against the spread in that spot when they're playing against non-conference good teams, 55% win percentage or better, and they're actually the home favorite. So I got some other angles as well, but I'll just say that I like Philly in this spot. I think Joel Embiid, caught a lot of criticism after winning the MVP last year. Here's an opportunity for him, who is also playing at an MVP level. I don't know if people really been watching Embiid, but he's actually been playing better this year than he was last year. And he has that whole 30 points and 10 rebound streak going on as well, something that he didn't even do last year. So I like Embiid in this spot. I like the Philadelphia 76ers in this spot today. I think from a player prop perspective, looking at Embiid, can't go wrong with looking at Embiid. Typically, the home teams end up getting the foul calls. And then, they don't really have anyone that's going to be able to slow him down. When we think about attacking Denver, they're not the worst three-point shooting defense, but they do give up points in the paint. So I'm not sure if Mike Malone's going to try to double team him or let Jokic guard him one-on-one. But it really doesn't matter. Embiid really can't be stopped, honestly. So I like Embiid, probably looking at his points prop, points plus rebounds, couldn't talk you off that. 30-10 in the win. Couldn't talk anybody off that as well. Should be really good odds being that the spread is so small. So those are all the, a couple of the angles that I was looking at. I didn't take any player props at all. But if I'm looking at anything, why not just go straight to Embiid, especially when he's going up against Jokic? He has a really good history against this guy as well. So those are my thoughts on the first game. Let's see what y'all saying in the comment section. Raven Run with me. He says he needs Philly tonight minus the 2. And I want to say the line is still 1.5 at most places. Yeah, he must have jumped on it early. This line did go up to 4. And then with everybody coming in on the Denver side, it went back down to 1.5. So it's 1.5 right now. Not strong look on the total. I think, I talked about this yesterday when I talked about Philly and taking the over yesterday. Philly is most of the time their numbers at home, as far as like totals, are a tad bit too low. And it's because their offense is so good. This Philadelphia team is averaging 120 points per game with Joel Embiid in the lineup. Denver offense can struggle on the road. And that's what kind of talks me off. Now, can they get hot? They could. This is going to be the first time that Philly's played Denver with Nick Nurse being the coach. So that's going to be interesting as well. I do think that Mike Malone will probably try to get some switches and get Joel Embiid outside the paint so that Denver can attack the rim. They don't really have a lot of Philly doesn't have a lot of elite defenders outside paint protection wise outside of Joel Embiid. So it's interesting to see how that's going to play out today. But I think because I don't trust Denver's offense, I would probably lean towards the under in this spot. But it's not anything that I'm on. Total did come up from 229.5 to 233.5. What's up, Hobby? He says 2 streams today. Yeah, I did the show earlier. I did Let's Cap with my guy Ronald Cobain earlier. What's up, Dwight? Jamie? Let's see. Amar says, how come nobody looking at the Clippers without Zubac? They're not good without them. Go look at StatMuse numbers. 1-6 last 7. We'll get to that game. We'll definitely get there. Malik says, any specific reason you're staying off the first half and quarter spread? Interesting question, Malik. So the interesting thing is I'm probably going to take Philly in the first quarter. It'll be a smaller play. Maybe a quarter of a unit. I'm probably going to go, y'all bet what y'all want to bet, but I'll probably put a unit on the full game. And then I'll put a quarter unit on the first quarter because Philly is really, really good first quarter, first half. And typically Jokic plays, until about 3-4 minutes left, about 3 minutes left in the first quarter. Joel Embiid has been playing the whole first quarter. So I think that, the non-Jokic minutes are a tad bit concerning for if you do like Denver, because they typically are winning the game when he comes out, and when he goes back in, they're typically that margin has shortened. But I do like Philly early. I like Philly first quarter, first half. I haven't been playing a lot of first quarters, but I'll probably personally put a little bit on the first quarter, which in this spot, Malik. I do think that Philly is, in a pretty good spot. And I had a trend to kind of back it as well, but I don't want to talk too much about this game specifically. It was about this first quarter specifically. It was a fate of non-conference teams that are in a first road game off playing 2 straight home games, and then playing against a highly competitive team. So like the Sixers, typically those teams get smoked early. So I do like Philly in the first quarter. I'm glad you asked, Malik. Young Harlow says, love the threes from the big guys. The game logs against each other backs it up. Backs it up. 3 from each is plus 5,000. 2 from each is plus 800. And 4 is plus 15,000. Best of luck, Young Harlow. I can see neither one of those guys are going to want to go out and guard the other one from the 3-point line. So could not talk you off. Cam says, what's good, Chris? Might need to make some money to get over their Eagles performance. Oh, yeah, the Eagles laid that egg last night in Tampa Bay. Jabari says, Embiid wants to make history. I'm betting this 30 and 10, minus 107 on FanDuel. No way I could talk you off of that, Jabari. No way I could talk you off. He says, what about second quarter when Jokic sits? That could be the spot. But Embiid also sits a lot of the second quarter as well. So, it's really just a play on who you think is going to come out and punch first. You could definitely fade Denver in the second quarter. They have not been a profitable second quarter team because that's when those bench guys come in. Taylor says Denver also has Boston on deck next. Might be thinking ahead a bit. Potentially, I'll just say that they're in a worse spot. This is their first road game after 2 straight home games, and for Philly, 3rd straight home game. So you're very acclimated with and Embiid is pretty fresh, right? Yesterday was his first game back in a while. Okay, all right, let's keep going. We got a couple more games to get to. Next game, we got Kings and we got Suns. So initially looking at this game last night, it was a fate of Sacramento for me, is the way I was kind of looking at this one, because the Kings are not in the greatest spot. So this is a divisional game. It's also a double revenge game. They lost twice already the Suns lost twice already to Phoenix. And of course, they didn't have their full roster in those games. Sacramento was laying 3 points and 4 points in both of those games. Now you see the line flip all the way to Phoenix now laying 4.5, depending on where you're looking. That's a big flip. And to me, it makes sense because Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Nurkic, and Kevin Durant are all playing in this game as well. Not the greatest spot for Sacramento. Like I said, this is the 5th straight road game for them, and the last game of a road trip, and they're coming off an overtime game against the Milwaukee Bucks as well. They lost the last game against Milwaukee. The reason why, and for Phoenix, the spot for Phoenix is first game back home after a 3-game road trip. They go back on the road as well, and they play in New Orleans, but they don't play again until Friday. So they got some extended time. Whereas for the Kings, they got to go home. They get 1 day off. They get tomorrow off, and they're right back at it on Thursday when they host the Indiana Pacers. So Phoenix does get a little more time, and they should take this game serious. I also don't like on the Sacramento side that Keegan Murray is listed as questionable. I think they'll need him for his defense. I think they'll also need him for his offense because Sacramento has a lot of guys that are kind of iffy. Like you can have a big game and then you could potentially not have a big game. Keegan Murray is one of those guys. Kevin Huerter had 26 and 10 in this last game, but we've seen Kevin Huerter, not score 10 points plenty of times. Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk seem like the 3 consistents, but guys like Harrison Barnes, I'm not sure what you're going to get from those guys. I also wanted to add, outside of the spot being for Sacramento, if you just go in and kind of look at the numbers, it is kind of deceiving because Sacramento is, I want to say 6-2 against the spread as road dogs. You don't want to back Sacramento as a favorite, right? This is when they typically let down. We've seen them lose the game outright against the Charlotte Hornets about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago exactly. Matter of fact, they were laying 15.5 points and lost that game outright. They were laying points in the next game as well against Orlando and won the game but didn't cover. So this is when you typically want to bow on Sacramento. And Phoenix has not been a good ATS team as a home favorite, although they also have not played with all of these guys in. They did lose that game to Memphis two Sundays ago. I know everybody probably remember that one without John Morant being ruled in. And then they got smoked against the Clippers, but that was the second leg of a back-to-back, and it was, another revenge angle as well. They did beat the Lakers and cover that game, and then they did go to Portland, and it was a super flat spot, right? You're playing against, none of the real starters because Portland had ruled everybody out. They scored 127 points, but you could just tell they weren't locked in defensively, so they didn't get the cover there. So I say all that to say I didn't play the game, but I do think it's a Phoenix Suns spot. What Sacramento does have going in their favor, for anybody who didn't get a chance to see, Mike Brown bought the laptop out during the post game interview and was talking about why he got ejected because De'Aaron Fox was going around the screen and got his arm held by Campaign. They didn't call a foul. He went off on the referees and got tossed out of the game. So you could say Sacramento is going to get the calls in this game that could potentially keep it close. Phoenix is not the greatest defensive team with the big three in and Nurkic. They're giving up about 120 points per game, but it's kind of due to regress. I don't like the spot for Sacramento as much. It's also a divisional game. Typically, divisional games in the NBA do go under, and with this total being so high, I couldn't really make a call. 244 points is a lot of points. So the books are literally saying, this game's probably going to be 122 to 123 to 121. And I could definitely see it getting there. I don't see defense from either side. Sabonis has been absolutely killing it from a player prop perspective. Couldn't talk anybody off. Gonna have his hands full with Nurkic, but he's been balling. De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk. I think Malik Monk a little bit more than De'Aaron Fox just because you're going to get a little bit more value. His point prop was sitting at 15.5 against the Bucks the other day. To me, this Phoenix Suns team on defense is very symbolic of the Milwaukee Bucks. When you talk about, just not really being able to guard the three, Malik Monk usage has increased over the last couple games as well, especially if no Keegan Murray's there. They're going to need his offense a little bit more. So I'd be looking at Malik Monk props. Couldn't talk anybody off. Sabonis, rebounds, assists. Should be a fast-paced game, but I still kind of lean towards the under in this spot. Just didn't get there, didn't take it at all. And those are my thoughts on that game. Let's see what y'all are saying in the chat. J.S. Brown says he needs Aaron Gordon in, feeling like it's double-double. Taylor says Nuggets slump in the second quarter on the road for sure, and B might get some time against the bench too, I think is what you meant. A-Dub, the prop killer, says, what do you think about Embiid 30 and 10? Yeah, I just talked about that. You might have got here a little bit late, A-Dub, but I mean, he's on the streak. I don't think the only thing that's going to stop Embiid from getting this is a potential blowout. Maybe if somebody else goes off, like if Maxey has like a 40 or 50-point game, which is definitely possible, or Embiid gets hurt. And if those two things don't happen, I think they're going to push this streak as much as they possibly can. We got to remember, it was just a couple games ago against the Knicks when Embiid was in, and that game was a blowout. It were losing about 25 points, and they had Embiid in, just kind of chasing his stats so he could keep the streak going. As soon as he got to 30 and 10, they took him out the game. Justin says he likes the Suns here in this spot, -4 for him. And I would lean that way as well, especially with the Kings being, off the overtime, 5th game of the road trip. I think it's the 5th game in 8 nights for the Kings as well. Amar says Herter finally looking good last game. Could just have been against the Bucks trash defense. And that's the way I would kind of look at. I'm not a big Kevin Herter guy. I'm not big on Kevin Herter as well at all. He's some players are going to play well against poor defenses unless your name's Killian Hayes. But most of the time, what goes up must come down for sure. JS says Mike Brown revenge game for the 50K fine. He might be a trap. Yeah, they did find my man 50,000. I saw that as well. Taylor goes on to say Suns finally starting to catch some steam. I think it's a good spot for Phoenix. Bad matchup for Sacramento. I would agree. Ross says, does anyone know who will be on KD? If Sabonis is on Nurkic, who on the Kings can guard KD? Leaning KD points. I couldn't talk you off, Ross. I'll say this. To me, it kind of feels like if you watch the last couple games for the Kings, for the Suns, they're really trying to integrate Bradley Beal. Like they really want Bradley Beal to be, that guy, right? He's been the one that's been shooting a lot of the shots. I think KD is, just being unselfish, trying to get, Bradley Beal into a groove. He's been shooting a lot of threes, making a lot of threes, and just being more aggressive. So not trying to talk you off Kevin Durant at all, because it could just be, one of those games where Kevin Durant, is aggressive. But Kevin Durant, Devin Booker came out and said after the last game that Kevin Durant told him before the game, he said, hey, I want you to be aggressive tonight. And you see Devin Booker go out, and I think he scored 16 points in the first quarter. So they just go pick and choose their spots, which is why I wouldn't be really paying attention to, which is why I don't really feel confident backing any of the player props. Let's get to the last game on the board for today. We have the Oklahoma City Thunder. They will be at crypto.com arena yet again, catching 6.5 points, 6 points, depending on where you got the number. This number's been fluctuating all day. It did open at 5.5. Now you see the number move to 6. It went up to 7. I'm not sure if it touched 7.5 or not, but it did come back down to 6. And there's some 6.5s out there as well. Total moving up from 236 up to 237.5. I think I would agree with the movement there. So for OKC, I'm not sure when they have to submit the injury report. I think it's already had to be submitted. But I know the Western Conference teams get a little bit later. It looks like in the injury report. For the Clippers, Zubac missed that last game against the Timberwolves on Sunday, like a couple minutes before he ended up getting rolled out. He's going to be out for this game as well. And I think I'm not sure how much that means, honestly. I look at this game from a spot perspective more so than I look at it like the Oklahoma City Thunder are playing against the Los Angeles Clippers. Like, to me, when you tell me that a team is on the second leg of a back-to-back and they're playing the Clippers, it's not been the greatest spot. I'm actually going to pull it up real quick just so you guys can see it. The Kings have been, pretty, really, really good. They've been a really, really good team. The Kings have the Thunder have been a really, really good team on the second leg of back-to-back games. But now you gotta really step up in this spot. And the Clippers are in a revenge game. They just lost to this team not too long ago. They were, catching a lot of points, catching points in that game because they were in a bad travel spot. So one of the things I wanted to look at specifically was, let's just start with what I said. So 2023, and I'll zoom in so you guys can see this a little bit better. So I'm just looking at let's just look at the Clippers, matter of fact. So team equals Clippers and opponent rest equals 0. I think it's a spot that they're really taking advantage of. You guys can see here, the Clippers, when they're facing a team that's on the second leg of a back-to-back, they're 7-1 straight up, 6-2 against the spread. They're winning these games by average of 13 points, 124.6 to 111.2. You guys can also see here that they've covered 5 out of the last 6 in this spot as well. Also, another thing I looked at, just real quick, I wanted to share this with you guys as well. I looked at the Clippers as home favorites specifically since they've gotten James Harden and their opponent's rest equals 0, because he's actually played pretty good for this team. So this is really close to what I just showed you guys. 5-1 straight up, 4-2 against the spread. This is the Clippers with Harden in as a home favorite, playing against an unrested opponent that's on the second leg of a back-to-back. Then it was one more thing I wanted to kind of shed light on that kind of led me to looking at the Clippers in this spot. I know the number is big, but I think it's probably pretty big. It's big for a reason. So this is the Clippers in a revenge spot this season. So if they lost the game to you recently, the most recent match, you guys can see in this next game around, they're 7-2 straight up, 6-3 against the spread, 7-1-1 to the under. And that, I think that's a testament to how good Coach Ty Lue is at making adjustments against the teams that beat him in the first game. So you can see here they're only giving up 105 points. They beat they lost to the Lakers in this spot, but they beat the Pelicans. That game went under. Beat the Grizzlies. That game went under. Beat the Knicks. That game went over. Crushed the Jazz as well. Beat the Nuggets as well. And here, if you guys are watching on YouTube, you can see here the ATS, the sum, right? So how much did they win or lose by? In these wins right here, 9, 14, 22, 11, and 16. So all this is saying is that when the Clippers are in a revenge spot, they typically play those games really, really seriously. I also wanted to look at, because the Clippers have not been the greatest team against teams that aren't really good. You guys can see here, Clippers are just 4-5 against the spread against teams that have a losing record this season. They've been laying 9 points and only winning the game by about 9 points as well. They've been kind of teetering back and forth, whether they win big or not. But if you flip this to the Clippers actually playing against competition as a home favorite, so if their opponent is 55% win percentage or better, they're 7-1. They're 71.4% ATS wise, 5-2 against the spread, 6-1 straight up as well, winning these games by average of 12 points. So I like the Clippers today. I do think that they win. I do think that they can potentially cover this number as well, but I haven't played that one yet. I just wanted to kind of break that one down, show you guys the way I was kind of looking at the game, player prop wise. And also the other thing is, I'm not into really fading the Thunder too often, but I think for this game specifically, the Thunder are in a bad travel spot. So not only is it second leg of a back-to-back because they played the Lakers last night, but it's also a fifth game in 7 nights. That's typically a spot, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but that's what I was looking at right before I started the show. I think this was the last thing I had kind of looked at was teams in this spot right here. So fifth game in 7 nights, your win percentage is greater than 55, and you're also playing a team that's in a 55 that's also really good. It has a win percentage of 55 or greater as well. Since the 2018 season, which was what it was on the screen, those teams are 8-18 straight up, only winning about 30% of the time, and 12-14 against the spread, so only covering about 46% of the time. So all of that to me just means I think that the number is big for a reason. I would take the Clippers to win and cover, with the Thunder potentially running out of gas on the second leg of a back-to-back. If you wanted to stay off of that, I do think that the pivot in this game, with the Clippers being in a bad travel spot, would be the Clippers team total to go over. The number is what? 236 is what? 118 plus 3 should be like 121 and a half. I think the Thunder push the pace. We know that they're one of the fastest paced teams. The Clippers should be able to get pretty much whatever it is that they want. And I think not having Zubac in there and having Daniel Tice, somebody that can spread the floor a little bit better, probably just works better for the Clippers offense in my eyes. So I would lean over. I would lean Clippers team total over, and I would lean Clippers minus the 6.5 if I had to play this game, but not anything that I took officially. Let me see and I didn't look at it from a player prop perspective at all. Maybe Chet has a big game just because SGA was dealing with some left knee soreness yesterday. Not sure if he's going to, I guess he is going to play in this game. This is the team that drafted him as well, so maybe he was trying to save a little bit for this game specifically. But those are just the ways I'm kind of looking at the game today. Just going back through it one more time. Nuggets, and let's see real quick, because I think I got a banner for this. Top looks for me would be Philly minus the 1.5. Philly on the money line. However you want to play Philly, I think that they're the right side. No play on the total. Suns and Kings. I would lean Suns minus the 4. Also, probably contrarian look to the under in this spot. Thinking that the Kings might run out of gas on fifth game in 8 nights after the overtime, and final game of a road trip as well. So lean Suns, didn't play them, and then lean towards the under with the total being so inflated at 244. Thunder and Clippers, like I said, Clippers team total over, Clippers minus the 6.5. You can get a 6, and then also lean towards the full game to potentially go over. I'm just not sure if the Thunder are going to be able to score in this spot. The reason why I say that is because the Clippers are one of the better defenses in the league at defending the 3-point line, and the Thunder get a lot of their points from the 3-point line on a lot of SGA, driving kicks. So those are my thoughts on the games. Like I said, no player props for me at all, and probably going to add something. I haven't placed the bet yet, but I just kind of haven't sent anything out. Just wanted to let you guys know what I was on. I will be placing some bets here soon. I gave you guys my top looks for the day. Send me a request if you guys got anything on Twitter. David says, happy Tuesday, my brother. I'm late. It's all good. Vaughn says they've been playing Bill how the Lakers used to play AD the championship year. They come out and run plays with him early to get him going. I would agree with that, Vaughn, based on what I'm seeing. What's up to my guy Fahrenheit? He says he reminds everybody to like the channel, like the video, comment on the show, Drop your plays, share the show, and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that, Fahrenheit. Bryce says Clippers have 4 days off after this game as well. I looked into this, Bryce, forgot to mention that. And I think it's big. So the Thunder will get 2 days off. Clippers have 4 days off. And I mentioned this at the beginning of the breakdown, but it's a revenge spot for the Clippers. So revenge spot, 4 days off. Thunder not being rested at all on the second leg of a back-to-back, playing against a fast-paced team yesterday. All their starters played heavy minutes because that game did kind of go down to the wire. So all their starters played 30-plus minutes. I like the Clippers today, Bryce. I would agree with that. Colin says, let's see. Amar says to beat OKC, I feel like it's inside with the size and points in the paint. I can see the Clippers the Clippers game becoming a shootout, and I feel like 2 possessions is too many points to lay with the Clips. Okay, I can respect that. Best of luck to you, Amar, whatever you end up playing. I think that they can win by 2 possessions, especially if they end up running out of gas. We saw this from nobody really wanted to lay 7.5. I know I didn't want to lay 7.5 with the Utah Jazz last night, and they absolutely. I know Bruce Brown ended up getting ruled out, but they absolutely put it on the Indiana Pacers in the second half. And I think sometimes the lines are big for a reason because teams could potentially run out of gas, and I think that's the spot here. David says Clips gets 4 days off after this. Kawhi might have 40. I can see that as well. What's up, D-Book Assist, John says? Potentially. I haven't really looked into it too much, John. I'm not sure who's been really like handling the ball, trying to get everybody, touches. I will say that when the game was on the line, came down to, when it came down to it in that Portland game, for whatever reason, Grayson Allen was shooting all the shots. He shot like 2 or 3 3-pointers and got to the rim. And I'm like, hold on here now. Hold on. This is a 5-point game. You're in potential of losing to the Portland Trail Blazers with their tanking team. And we got Grayson Allen shooting all the shots. So I say all that just to say this, that Phoenix is still trying to figure it out in the fourth quarter. I want to say that they're one of the worst fourth quarter teams, even with the big three. They're averaging like 22 points per game. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can put it together in this game and, really close out a quarter. They really, really struggled in the fourth quarter. Markel says, what's up, my dude? Mini sweep cash full game and first half for the Cavs yesterday. The under in the Jazz game, the Lakers money line. He said, tonight I'm on James Harden double-double and Westbrook double-double. But his is a sprinkle. That makes a lot of sense, Markel. That makes a lot of sense. You got the revenge angle for both of those guys. I'm not sure how much they buy into that, but Harden usage has been off the chain. Off the charts. We just cashed Harden over 9.5 assists the other day. Could not talk you off of that look at all. Shot the ball, fast-paced game, second leg of a back-to-back. Thunder don't have much size. I can see, Kawhi putting his head down, getting to the rim pretty much at will. Thunder really struggle against teams that do have size, like Amar said. I would agree with that point. Definitely agree with that point. Shadow says, any thoughts on SGA revenge game? Do you think he brings something extra? Potentially. I'll say the Clippers are a really good defensive team, but SGA is also an elite offensive player. And I'm not sure who they're going to have to protect the rim. SGA likes to get downhill. It's not like they have Anthony Davis, somebody that could, really slow him down. The Clippers also coming off a loss against the Timberwolves the other day. So they should be motivated in this spot. They got some good one-on-one individual defenders. I'm not sure how that goes. I think SGA could be still feeling that. I don't like SGA in this spot, and I could be totally wrong. But with him having knee soreness yesterday, being questionable for that game, getting upgraded to end on the second leg of a back-to-back, I wouldn't play SGA. That's just my personal opinion. I could be totally wrong. He could go for 40 tonight, especially without Zubac being down there. But that's just my thought. David says, and everybody else, drop your best bets as well. If you had one bet to place today, what would you play? I'm interested to know. Just one bet. Let me know what you want. David says, my best bet is Kings game under. Mike Brown went off with his practice footage in post-game. I didn't catch that. I got to go back and check that out, David. And Bet on JC says, hit the like button for Chris, man. Subscribe. He likes Jamal Murray under 27.5 points plus rebounds tonight in that first game. Okay, so we got a best bet on Jamal Murray to go under. We also got the Kings game under. I do lean under in that game with you as well, David. Potentially a live spot, especially if we see a lot of points early. I do think it slows down late. Shadow says Embiid over his points. He might drop 50. No way I could talk you off that. And then Justin says he likes Arkansas. This is college basketball. I'm thinking, yeah, it got to be college basketball. Arkansas +3. So could not talk you off there. Let's go over to Twitter. Like I said, it'll be a short show. Let's get Godspeed up, see what he liking today, and who did cash yesterday. I think Godspeed gave out some kind of crazy parlay that ended up cashing for my parlay guys. Let's see what Godspeed's on today, and then we'll get up out of here. What's up, Godspeed? Talk to me.
What's up, bro? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. How you?
Doing good, man. Can't complain at all, man. Phenomenal weekend. Over the last 4 days, I've won 30.9 units.
Ooh.
So the 8 is official.
Okay.
I came up here and gave out the Atlanta SGP. I got the underdog notification of the Spurs starting their bench in the second half, and I was like, dang, it's over. And then I look up at the SGP cash, they hadn't stepped up. So those are plus 731 that I gave out here and shared above. So we did get that cash. So congrats if you were able to tell. Today, I'm going to give out a lean and I'm going to give out an official play. I say a lean because I don't really like the odds for this first play. I want to take Embiid threes and Jokic threes. But I got ESPN bet, and for Embiid 3, it's like plus 380. And on FanDuel, they give me plus 600. I just can't get a book that will give me the odds that I really, really want. Because when I get to that, both of them to hit 3, it's only plus 2,900, and I feel like that should be higher. So if you do have a book, I like Embiid and Jokic for 1, 2, and 3. I want to ladder them up. Embiid, we know he give up threes. He get lazy. He don't really contest. If you got a big man that can shoot threes, he don't get out there and contest. Jokic has been shooting better on the road versus at home all season. And Embiid, he's not in too much of an advantageous matchup, but in his last 2 versus Jokic, he's had 4 and 3 3-pointers made. So I do want to run that. It's not an official play because I just don't like the odds that they give me on ESPN bet. But I will give y'all an official play. It's another 3 play. I like Bradley Beal and Norman Powell. Bradley Beal in the last 2, he's hit 8 and 4 3-pointers made. This one is kind of risky too because we can see these guys cover their points line and not cover their threes line because Bradley Beal is a mid-range maestro, you know what I'm saying? But as of lately, he's been hitting threes. So I'm going with the high hand here. The volume's been there. He gets Sacramento, who want to push the ball, play fast. Kevin Huerter don't play no defense. Sacramento don't play defense. And they're in Phoenix, so they got all their guys tonight. So I like Bradley Beal. And then Norman Powell, he gets an advantageous matchup. Oklahoma City, that's my team. We're in a back-to-back. Typically on back-to-backs, you see less defense played. We already give up a lot of threes as it is. He's averaging 2.5 threes in his last 10 games. And I wouldn't be shocked to see my team run out of gas and allow him to get some more minutes. But like Chris said, we did have a battle with the Lakers last night, and everybody played a lot of minutes. So this Clippers team, they tough defensively. So I like Norman Powell and Bradley Beal. If you pay them for both for 2, the odds that I got plus 177. I do a half a unit on that, and then for 3-3, it's plus 890. I do a quarter on that. And then for 4-4, it's plus 5,000. I do a quarter on that. So just 1 unit risk for me across that ladder. If we cover the base, we get our units back that we wagered on the other rungs plus some. So that's all I got, Chris. Not too much, small slate, but yeah, best of luck tonight. And I'm just going to try to stay hot.
Absolutely, my brother. Stay on the heater, man. Appreciate the looks, Godspeed, as always, my brother. And one thing you mentioned real quick, and I looked into this earlier, The Thunder, we always talk about like these spots, right? Sometimes the spot play where you just absolutely want to, fade a team. I think back to the Bucks and the Celtics the other day, right? Like it felt too easy to take the Celtics plus the 2, and the Bucks really, they needed that game from a confidence perspective. And the Celtics had went to overtime the night before, and it was a 3rd and 4, 4th and 5, 5 and 7, all that good stuff. You don't catch the Thunder in too many spots where they're playing their 5th game in 7 days. I looked at it since the start of first of all, this is the first time this season that it's happened. The Thunder have they haven't played 5 games in 7 nights all season. But I looked at it even last season. They only played 5 games in 7 nights twice. And in those games, they were laying 3 points against the Lakers. They lost outright. And then that was March the 1st, 2023. And then the other one was March 29th last season as well. And they were actually laying 9.5 points against the Pistons. And they ended up winning that game by 9. So they didn't cover the spread in that spot either. So they 0-2 straight up, but 1-1 straight up, 0-2 against the spread in this spot, going back to last season. And it's typically been, somebody not being able to score, whether it's them or their opponent in those games as well. So we'll see how it goes. I do kind of feel like the totals are inflated tonight because teams are on the second leg of back-to-backs. But I think it's a very enjoyable 3-game slate. I absolutely do. And that's the show for today, man. Best of luck. I'm probably going to have some live plays just because it's only 3 games. We got some nationally televised games as well. Go back and, check out the analysis if you haven't already. Appreciate everybody for tapping in, for dropping best bets as well. Couple quick comments real quick. Let's see. Sean says, what's going on? Hit the like button, everyone. So reminding everybody, hit the like button. Frank says, Jokic and B 25 and 8 each on FanDuel is plus 250. I couldn't talk you off that, even though I think Jokic could be more of a facilitator today. I think it could be more of a Jamal Murray type game, but that's just my opinion. I do think that Nicholas Batum defense is underrated, and he's going to be hounding Jamal Murray for sure tonight. We'll see how it goes, though, man. Best of luck to everybody. Be back tomorrow. We got a lot of games tomorrow. Already looking ahead for that slate. I'm out.